Hello, Cema.
Hello, Nero.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
It's so good to see you after a long, long time.
Yeah, it has been a long time, huh?
I saw you last on the other side of the COVID.
Oh my goodness, it's the life before and after COVID. Yes.
I thought of introducing you to the audience, but then when I thought about it, I thought I can't do it. I can't do justice to introducing Cema. Your breadth of things that you do is too large for me to even put into 5 lines. So I'll let you explain or introduce yourself. Who is Cema?
Wow, Cema is on a mission to change newcomers' lives, especially in Australia. And what I do is, like, nowadays, it's everything that I have done over the past 25 years. And helping newcomers to understand that they are part of the place where they choose to live and that their contribution is huge, but they don't see themselves doing or being part of the new land. So what I do is helping them to have this understanding and the feeling that they belong to this new place that we live in.
But again, you didn't say anything about yourself, so I'll try to put a few lines about you. For the listeners who, in a rare chance, who doesn't know Cema, I worked with Cema for 2 years at Kaleidoscope Initiative program, where she was the mentoring coach, helping newcomer professionals to get join their professional life very soon in Australia. But that's a very small part. Cema is a migrant from Brazil.
That's right.
Been here in Australia for 25 years.
Yeah.
Has got her fingers in a lot of pies, in mentoring, in training, in helping other people, working for the community across different suburbs and local governments. She has fought a local government election, which is another thing to know and learn. There's a whole new experience. Now she's into podcasting and doing video interviews. That's just a start. So there's a whole lot of things to know about Cema, and she is a very prime example of how migrants can succeed in Australia. And many people can learn heaps of things. And today's conversation, I think, would be a great learning experience for me to know more about Cema and to many other people who need an example to learn from.
Thank you, Nero.
So, welcome again, Cema.
Thank you. So it's normally the way I introduce myself. So when I teach people how they can be memorable, they come normally and talk about their credentials, right? So their professional qualifications or their professional title. And for me, professional title is something that comes along, but it's not the main thing that says about me.
Right. So let's start from the start.
Mm-hmm.
You are a migrant from Brazil.
Mm-hmm, yes.
A land from beautiful women and beautiful men.
Oh, yeah.
How dare you leave Brazil to Australia? Why did you migrate to Australia?
We came to Australia for the first time with my ex-husband. We came together to do our studies. And he came for his PhD, and I came to do my master's. And I fell in love with Perth, Australia, and especially because before Australia, we lived in Canada too. And I quite like living in Canada, but coming to Australia and having this beautiful part of the earth, so stunning views, beaches and nature. So it was impossible not falling in love.
So are there many Brazilians in Australia?
Yeah, there are plenty, let's say, in Australia.
Give us a picture where they are, what they do.
The majority of the Brazilians, they go to Sydney, and second in part of Brisbane or Gold Coast. And the third part, probably Perth, is the next option for them. But you have it everywhere, in Adelaide, in Hobart. We have even in the capital of Australia and Northern Territory as well.
And how about in Perth?
The Perth population of Brazilians, I believe the last time when we had the census, before the last time, we were considered others because we didn't have a very significant number of people, the Brazilians here. But now the census, they changed, and now we are categorized as Brazilians. And I believe by the census, we have more than 5,000 people in Australia, especially because of COVID. Many things changed. I think for the next census, we have a more accurate number.
Right. 5,000. That's 5,000 beautiful men and women in Australia.
Yeah.
You said you came to do masters.
Yes.
Masters in what?
In biomechanics.
And what was your graduation in?
I did physical education back in Brazil, or human movement. Yeah, that was my degree.
So from biomechanics, how was the journey from studying to get into a professional life?
Well, before I came to Australia, I had my own business back in Brazil. I started my business when I was officially starting a business when I was 19 years old, and selling something. Selling my services was the time when I was studying physical education, and I was helping people inside the water to get their body working again. So I was using hydrotherapy, and it was part of my degree, and I fell in love. And then I did my post-degree in obstetrics, and I started working with pregnancy inside of the water, but more helping women to be prepared for the natural delivery.
Wow, because when I was preparing for my medical examinations to get into medical field and become a doctor, ONG was going to be my specialty. I couldn't get into medical and got into engineering, but that's a very, very interesting field.
Yes, that's right. So I was in love. So I had my own business in Brazil. I had a hydrotherapy with targeting more women throughout the pregnancy and after pregnancy, and also rehabilitation of orthopedics or traumatic events that people had a broken bone or anything. So I would help them, or posture, helping them to get back on track on their body. And then I was traveling around the world, and went to Canada, moved to south of Brazil, then went to northeast of Brazil, and then Australia.
So you are here. You've done your biomechanics.
No, I haven't. I haven't completed my bio. I came to do my master's degree, but I felt pregnant. And then I decided between doing a master's degree and being a mom, I decided to be a mom. I wanted that time to be a mom. And also the time the Brazilian currency devaluated, so we didn't have money to pay the rest of the master, so I could go and work and make the money. It was not a big problem. But as I was pregnant, I decided I want to be a mom, and I want to give 100% of my time to my child.
Was that a difficult decision? Because as I see now, that women, that's my perception, that the government, the society, everyone tells them, you got a child, here's the money, get ready, put the kid into childcare, get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
You
that's the system
do
in
something,
Brazil.
do something, get back to work.
That's it. That's the system in Brazil.
Was that the same when you...
Yeah, the same. In Brazil, women go back to work very quickly after they have their children. They cannot be away from the luxury of being away from the workforce for so long. And then they come back, and it's a triple journey for them, not just double. And I decided at that point that I didn't want that life. I wanted that pregnancy so much. And I had miscarriages before. And then I decided, no, this is my time, and I want to give 100%. I want to be a mom, and I want to nurture this baby inside of me. And so anything that was not there for me, or let's say nothing was out there for me but my pregnancy and my baby.
Right. So when did you finally decided to go back to professional life?
Well, I went back to Brazil when my son was around 6 months old. And soon before I left Perth, I was invited to work in a research project in Brazil. So I went back to Brazil with this perspective that I would be working that research project. And I that's why I started then a master back in Brazil in epidemiology. And then and my mom that time came to be around because I was living in a different city. So she came to give me the support that I needed while I was studying and working.
You have a lot of interest from obstetricist to biomechanics to epidemiology. How does that works?
So epidemiology, it's one of the beautiful fields in science, because with epidemiology, you start understand many things, everything, by the way. So how things work in the community, in the environment around you. And it's a research, how you do research, how you read something critically, how you get data and everything. So for me, was a point where I really had to move on. And from biomechanic is working with pregnancy was a biomechanic situation, right? And their body change and they need to adapt. And also after having the baby, how this biomechanic can be along with them without causing much stress on their body. And that's why I put everything together.
So you went back to Brazil to do your research. When did you finally thought, no, I'm going back to Australia and stay there?
I never want to leave Australia. That's the point. So we just went back to Brazil because my ex-husband was government employee. So he was working for the federal government, and he came here to do his PhD. It was part of his PhD to come here and do a sandwich, like they call. But he had to go back because he had his job there.
Right. So when did you come back, and how did you started your life in here?
So we came 3 times to Australia. The second time we just spent a very short period of time, and then the third time was something that happened to us in our lives in Brazil, that we decided to really was not the place that you want to be anymore. And after you have kids, you don't think about yourself anymore, and it's more about what you can provide to that kid. And for us coming here, and my son was born here, and we believe that it was a safe place to stay in that moment of our lives. And we decided to come. But my ex-husband, he is very attached to Brazil. I was not. And for him, it was very difficult to leave. And for me, it was easy.
Okay, so you made up your mind. You come here. You have a kid. How did you start?
Well, I started from zero. Everything again. But the main thing for me was, before I left Brazil, I contacted researchers in the obstetric field here in Australia, especially here in Perth. I say, hey, I'm going to Perth. I don't have the visa to be employed by you, but do you have any project, a research project that I can be part of? And they said, yeah, we have something. Let's talk. When you arrive, come to see us at the hospital. So when I arrived and settling the house and the family and everything, I got pregnant again. But then I didn't know that I had an ectopic pregnancy. And I started feeling very sick, very, very, very ill. And then I was rushed to the hospital. And then I was almost dying. And I didn't know I was pregnant. and it was an ectopic one. So I lost the tube and everything, all the drama around that. So I came back home, had to take a time off to rethink and recenter. And then I contact again the hospital, say, look, now I can come back. And then they offered me a research to start from zero with them. So we designed together the research. And the research was about women and their activity during pregnancy, physical activity. So we had a pedometer that you would give to the ladies, and they would wear the pedometer for a month, and they had to report everything that they have done during the day. So and we would collect the pedometers later, and then download all the movement, all the data, and then see how many of them had improvement on their physical exercise or physical life of their body.
Good. So you've always been in research, or you moved fields?
I was in research for a long time, not just in pregnancy, but in cardiovascular disease, and also emergency in hospitals, diabetes, obesity. But the obesity and diabetes and exercise always relate to pregnancy. And then when I came to Australia, I work in different fields. I work in environmental health, I work in emergency, in hospitals, and also in occupational health in migrants. So that's when was the point for me that I said that I love that.
And how did you manage to move between all these different fields? Was it your networks who helped you, or was it that from your past work you just moved into another one because of fluid movement?
Well, to be honest, all the jobs that I had in Australia I was not sent by someone else or my networks. I got the jobs because I could. I went there and I showed myself the way I had to show. I failed in 2 job applications that I applied for, very beautifully, let's say this way. And I remember my first failure. I never expect to fail in that interview, and I failed. And then the other jobs I just got on the first interview, and that's it. But it was all jobs related to research. Most of the
all
time.
through your networks?
No, I didn't have any network to help me, right? So when I came to Kaleidoscope, it was a bit different because people knew me. It was a different story but no one said, oh, this place is for Cema, right? So it was just like, you can get it. But I had to go through the whole process as everybody else.
So you have been doing jobs after job after job. What happened to the business girl who was running a business from year 19?
Oh, she has been alive always. She never left the business. I always had the business to the side. I never went to one job to another. I just got jobs that were very, very punctual. And when I came to Australia, my last time, I had my own job running my services, but to the side was not the main thing. In 2015, when I decided I want to run my business, the first time I decided I want to run a business was in 2010, 2009, 2010, when I set up the first Brazilian barbecue. It was a self-service one, and it was an experience that I wanted just to trial to see if it would work. Worked as a client view, like clients could see me very successful. They liked what I was offering, but behind the scenes, I didn't know anything about the culture making business in Australia, and that's what was my big failure. And then after that, I had to go back and be employed by someone because I was broken, and I needed to recap financially. And then I went back to work, and by 2013, I was back in business again, and then differently.
So would you say your primary interest is in running a business, and jobs was always there to support you financially while you were running a business?
That's
or was
right.
it other way around?
That's right. The job was there because it was an opportunity for me to learn, always. And for me, money makes you rich. Your job makes you rich when you know how to invest your money. So the money for me that I used to get from my job has been always to feed my business and to make me to do what I want to do.
Is your barbecue business still running?
It's not up. No, it was the business was there in 2002 and 2010, at the beginning of 2011, and it closed very sadly, and took me a while to recover, basically 2 years. That's why in 2013 I came back to my business with a more wiser view of business in Australia. And then in 2015 was when I had the idea of running my own not-for-profit organization that I invested. It was not any money from government or anywhere. It was my own investment, helping newcomers or migrants to understand how to run a business in Australia, things that they didn't know.
Tell us about that business, because that is actually you were helping new people to run their business.
Yes.
And you were sharing your experiences of devastation in the first business.
That's right.
So how did that go? Tell about that business.
Yeah, we are doing pretty well until another incident came to my life, and you had to have a break. So that's why then I joined Kaleidoscope, because it was something that was my passion. I would still be working with newcomers and helping them, but in a different way. Instead of helping them to set up a business in Australia, I was helping them with their careers.
So at this point, you had two business started running and then shut down.
Yes.
How easy it is to run a business in WA, in Australia?
Well, as anywhere else, takes time. There are three things that I created this like acronym. In Australia, when you go to a teller machine, you say ATM, right? And for me, I create the acronym ETM. That is, if you run your life as a business, is when you succeed. Mm-hmm. And why you succeed? Many businesses, they die because one is people don't know how to run the business. They don't plan for the long future. They don't have investment. They don't know how to invest. And especially when they don't know how to invest. Other things can happen as our business, we're running the two events at the same time. Our lives happen at the same time. You never expect that. So you could not support each other. So you had to have a break. But if you had to come back to that business, the business is still there and we can run successfully. So that's the idea from our business. After we set up our business, we saw so many people coming after us and following the same idea, right? So it was nice to see that. It was just the question that an event happened. So running a business in Australia, coming back to the name that I gave, ATM or ETM, is any business you need to invest in three things. Right? Many people, when they talk about investment, they just think about money. One is emotions, the good emotions. You never open a business thinking, oh, you not work or people not buy my thing. You believe that you have a service or a product that you help someone and people will be interested. And that's why you go with the mindset that you believe you have good emotions to nurture that business. The T comes from the time. No business can start earning money from day zero if you don't have the time to plan and your services, your products, and refine and understand what's necessary. So there is a timeline in there, right? And the M is the money. For anything, you need to invest money to create your product, deliver your service, anything. So in life, if you have good emotions, to see your life as possible to do, is not being that kind of positive that you see on Instagram, on Facebook. I don't give up. No, it's something very assertive, positive. And then you have also the time to make new friends, to create a network, time to invest in yourself as learning. And also the money. Even if you have a friend to go for a coffee and you want to say, hey, let's have a coffee and I pay for you, you need to invest money in that. So life is like a business. But people, when you say business, many people get so scared that business is evil. They just want to make money. They just want to take advantage of you. And it's not, because people don't have this kind of mentality about business. So back to your question, running a business in WA, running a business in anywhere in the world has the same principles, but you need to know the local culture and what you are offering. Is there a need for that business?
Exactly. I've been running my business for 6 years at least, and that's my thing. Business gives you so much freedom to do what you want to do, and that's why I always tell other people, start a business. Think of a business that you can run. Think of a service that you can provide or solve someone's problem. But running a business comes with a lot of responsibilities. You want that kind of a freedom, you will have to bear those responsibilities. You don't want these responsibilities, then depend on someone else. You'll be depending on someone else, but you won't have that adventure to create something, to solve something. I'm always solving something. I'm always thinking of how I can do this, who I can approach to. If I don't have a solution, who I can approach to, how can I approach that person?
Yes.
What can I give them so that they will advise me? It's not always about money.
That's right. And especially like when you said, like my first business was a failure regarding my ignorance that I didn't have. I thought all the transferable skills coming from my family in Brazil that they run business, I would apply here and it would work, but didn't, right? Because has the particular point of what you are selling, is there a need, and how you make this happen. So, and my second one was the best, because you had so much experience in there and the needs of people coming. And we did the first multicultural business expo in Australia, not just a little corner thing. We did a big thing that was at HBF Arena in Joondalup, and we had the city of Joondalup helping us, ECU, so many big business and part of the government also helping us, like the local government, and had people exposing or exhibiting their products in there. So it was a big thing that we did in less than 6 months, putting everything together.
And how did it go?
It went pretty well. We had pretty good turnout and people coming and participating. But at the same time, we had the point where complete burnout for the current situation that we're living in.
That's the thing. Running a business means all the risks are yours.
Yes.
People don't see that risk. Someone who is outside the business sees only the profit or the loss.
That's right.
They don't see the effort and the risks that you are taking.
That's
and
right.
The profits are for the risk. It's not for the effort that you put in.
No,
it's for the risk.
It's for the risk, for the time when and the waters are very turbulent.
If you want a return for your efforts, go and take a job.
That's right.
If you want a return for your risk, then the business is for you.
That's right.
That's the equation that I always tell anyone. And that I do an employment where I work for money. I sell my efforts for money. Mm-hmm. In the business, I create that business and take a risk to get a profit.
That's right.
That's two different things.
Yeah. And then for me, in my case, I come from, as like I said before, I come from a family that we didn't have people employed. Everyone would run a business. So I grew up in the business environment of taking risk and creating things as well. And always, my mom was very creative. And she never was employed by anyone. She was always running her own business.
On the risk taking, and when you mentioned city of Joondalup, I remember you also ran for the city of Joondalup, local government. How was that?
Yeah,
experience?
It was not my intention initially, but as we were working very close in the business that I was running, some of the economic development people working that moment said, Cema, why don't you run for the next election? Because you have all the profile of someone that we need here to lead, and you are a natural leader in this field. And I was resistant until the end. I think it was 10 minutes or 5 minutes before the when you put your name, like how do you say that? When you nominations. I said the 5 minutes before the nomination, I remember in front of the big door of City of Joondalup and thinking, should I go? Should I go back home? Should I go in? And by the last minute, I went there, put my nomination, and I said to people that support me, I said, look, I'm not making any campaign because it was not my intention. But I can, and that's all, you just need to set up a Facebook page and see how you go if you don't want to make a campaign. So I put my Facebook page there and sent some emails to people to inform them. And then I got very horrible emails from people running, they have been there for a long time, threatening me and saying, how dare you to come and want to be a counselor here. And it was a big shocking for me. And at the same time, I said, I was not expecting for that. So I think people were more civilized, but they were not very brutal. And then I didn't do anything as much. I just say, you don't know me and you are judging me from your own experience. But no, you cannot see me right now, was the only answer that I gave. And when the elections ended, I got 10% of the votes, not doing anything.
Wow.
I didn't do anything like as promoting, but I got 10%. And then my supporters told me, you need to come next time and we help you and we promote you. I said, nah, I don't want this. I can make a difference doing something else.
But probably it was not your effort in the campaigning, but the effort that you had put in the IBNA and the business workshop and the business expo in the city of Joondalup, that people knew who you were.
Yes.
And that's why they actually proposed you to go forward for it in the first place.
Yes, that's right.
That was the campaigning.
Yes.
Not the campaigning for the elections.
Yes. Yeah, no. And I decided when I left Brazil, it was very clear that I didn't want to be involved with politics. And it was a big surprise for me. And here I went to some meetings, council meetings, and I look at, and I said, maybe I can use my time more wisely.
Fair enough, because I have recently started getting very interested in my local government's meetings. I do follow them, I read through them, and it's very, very interesting.
I'm saying it's interesting, but for what I want to do, I think my time can be better used. Mm-hmm. You know, like you guys, you can come and talk to any politician, and they help us with ideas. We had lots of support from politics when we had the IBNA. But for me, if I work this side and you work the other side, we work together. But I don't need to be in that side with you. I think people need me in the side that I am. Right.
Okay, so you've done your elections. IBNA is nearing its closure. What's the next stage?
Well, IBNA, we never did the closure. We still have few things of IBNA, and by the way, 3 weeks ago when I was putting together all the material for my new venture, I was seeing all the photos, saw your photos there as well, and the videos, and I spent the whole day crying, because for me, seeing all this retrospective since I started working with migrants, and what I do right now is still the same. It's very valid until today, what I do. I didn't change anything because it was a trend right now to make money with that. No, it's very consistent. My message, my aim, and my work. So for me, it was a validation watching all my retrospective of videos and photos and speech that I gave, to see that what I'm doing right now is exactly what I saw me doing years ago. So I'm still on track.
Mm-hmm. But you still had to run your household. You need some money to coming in. So how did that happen? You restart another business?
I never ended my business. My business always was quiet. I was working twice a week with my clients, private clients, and I have been working with them since I finished IBNA and my Mind Master since 2013. So I always had clients.
And what's My Money Master?
My Mind Master is my other business where I work with clinical hypnotherapy for migrants.
Hypnotherapy. There's another new term. What is hypnotherapy?
Hypnotherapy is the state of putting attention on something and nothing else. It's a natural state when you pay attention to what you are doing. To be very simple, very simplistic, right? So let's say you are here talking to me. You are hypnotized by me talking, right? And vice versa. But if someone opens the door and starts talking outside, you deviate your attention to that. So in hypnotherapy or hypnosis is when you put your attention 100% to one thing. And then we use as a clinical situation to help someone to solve a problem that they cannot solve because there are so many noise inside of their head that they cannot pay attention. What is the solution for that situation? So we bring them to a point that all the noise around is silent and that they can put attention on something to solve it.
And can someone learn this, or it has to be always done with someone?
No, the way I do conversational hypnosis, so most of the time, and it's more helping clients with the tools that they learn and they can use themselves later on. They don't need me forever.
Mm-hmm. Good. So you have been running this business for continuously?
Yeah, we have.
You still do it?
Yes, I do.
And so when you were running the IBNA and this business, you have stopped doing any employment jobs?
Yes.
So no employment jobs till now?
No. Now I finished with Kaleidoscope last December. And since mid of last year, I was sure that by the end of the year, I would not be with Kaleidoscope anymore because my mission is to do something bigger.
Let's hold that for a minute. Tell us about Kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope is a project and it was about employment for migrants. And as we know, many skilled migrants come to another country, but they cannot reconnect with their career or they cannot get into the job market. So it's a waste of talent. And Kaleidoscope was, or the main aim was to help these newcomers to reconnect with their careers in Australia, highly skilled newcomers. And it was a wonderful project, beautiful, very, very good intentions, but ended as anything.
And how were you involved in that?
My role in that was I was the mentoring coach. I was the first point of contact for mentors and mentees. I was recruiting mentors and mentees. I was making the match with mentors and mentees, and also overseeing the relationship between mentors and mentees, and running the trainings too.
So where does this mentoring thing comes for you? Because when I was at Kaleidoscope, you were doing the mentoring coach work. When I was doing the OMI's leadership program, leadership governance program, you were there as a mentoring coach. Where's this mentoring thing coming in?
Well, I believe the mentoring comes from, it's a very natural skill for me because I always, as migrant traveling to different countries, I was always giving a hand to people that could not get their feet to find themselves in the new country, but I was very informal. And then I remember also running my business. Many people would come to me to ask me for advice, how they would do. And working with pregnant women showed me a lot how I could be a good mentor for them. Because that time, and by the way, that time when I was running my business with pregnant women, I didn't have kids. However, I had the histories of my mom having all her kids at home and all the deliveries. So I had all these stories that my mom would tell us. So I grew up with that sense that we always can help others with the information that we have, the experience that we have. And people decide if they want to take that or not. And that's the point. So for me, it was more guiding people, but let them be responsible for their own decisions.
And how was your experience working with the newcomers? And what things do you think they lacked when they came, and in the areas that you could have helped them?
Well, working with newcomers, I believe I worked with newcomers since I was in Canada, studying English. Many newcomers would come to me because I was having conversations with everyone. It was easy for me, even if I didn't have that English, I would be very good going around and get to know people and get to know everything that was happening around me. So when I moved to Australia, it was not different. And then when I started working with my own community, that I set up the Brazilian community in WA with one of my friends, and the community was born in the kitchen of my house when we had the barbecue. And that point I saw that I was helping many people, right? But I was not really taking as official, let's say this way. It was a nature from event, part of my nature. And when I worked researching occupational health in migrant workers, was the point when I saw myself in every story that I heard. And I said, what I would do different if I was in that situation. So, and I was asking them the question to see if they could have the point when they click and say, oh, that's it, instead of me giving them the information. And many times when I interviewed them, I went home and I would cry because I was facing my own story or narrative. And that time, what I could see that they were lacking was the information. The same way that when I failed was the lack of information, the official information. Because they had qualifications, they had everything, but they didn't have the information. Because they didn't have information, they started feeling low. Because they would apply for jobs, they would not get the jobs. And they start creating a perception that Australia doesn't give opportunity, Australia is racist, Australia is this, Australia is that. So this narrative start then playing. And I saw them is the lack of information to support them with their decisions.
And what kind of information?
The information is how things are working in here, right? So, like, for example, running a business. You're from India. What do you see is the main difference running a business in Australia and in India, right? You come with what you know and you think you apply everything, but it's not. So in careers, it's the same. They come with a beautiful resume that is a standard resume where they come from. They can be the brilliant professional there. But when they come here, because they don't know, their resume needs to be tailored to standard Australian standard resume. They need to sell themselves through a cover letter, selection criteria. They don't know this. And they just look for jobs in some platforms. And they look for jobs based on their job title only. So they have more skills than the job title, but they just look for job titles.
That's so interesting because before coming to Australia, I was working as a contracts manager. And when I came here, I started applying for jobs. Contracts officer, senior contracts officer, contracts manager. After 6 months, I realized that the contracts manager thing I was doing in India is called procurements manager in Australia. And the contract manager is an operational part. Procurement is something different.
Yes.
So I wasted 6 months applying for jobs in which I had no experience.
That's right.
And
the rejection goes higher.
And that 6 months of rejection is just piling in. So if you go
Yes.
back to my inbox, I might still have those emails saying, you're not selected, you're not selected, you're not selected, you're not
And you
selected.
get angry, right? Because you don't understand why. And the thing is that they don't like me. They don't want me. And it's not that. It's just because a simple thing as a different name for that job, right? Or even your job is not in the industry only that you have been working in. There are other jobs that you can find in other industries that you can use your skills that you have. So this kind of situation limit them inside of a little box of fear because they don't know the system. When you don't know things, you get very fearful of everything.
Oh, yes. I got fearful and I changed my profession because I had been working in anti-corruption work and vigilance work in India for 10 years. I had that long experience. When I came here and I applied for 6-8 months, a year, and then I realized, and because there's no information, there's no one telling me these things, I realized that there is nothing called vigilance in Australia. There's nothing. There's no jobs like that. The only thing which is nearing vigilance is compliance work. And even in compliance, it is compliance and governance and corporate governance, which is a separate field, not related anything to vigilance. It's all about compliance with the governance and laws and regulations, especially in local government. So I could not have got a job in vigilance, but I was just kept applying, using vigilance in my CV.
That's right. See, people could not understand what you were doing, right? So as well, your resume was not translating exactly your skills that you had that you could use in any situation.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing about information. Running a business or having your career back on track in Australia relies on the official information from someone who knows the perks of the place, right? All the details. And that's yeah.
Yeah, you have to know how things work then to get up or become a part of that machinery.
That's right. It's because when most of people come, they come because they buy the dream of someone else. That people sell their ideas, right? Oh, come to Australia, you can do this. Despite they are not doing what they want to do, but they sell to others a dream. So someone coming to Australia, they think in 6 months, if they don't have English, in 6 months, their English will be fluent, they have skills, they have the qualification, I show my qualification and people want me. Because as right now, Australia is needing lots of skilled employees, right? People, but we don't have. So it's the false attraction that you come here and that you find a job as soon as they leave the airport. And it's not this way. So how many people come here with so many jobs available and they cannot get the jobs? Why they cannot get the jobs? Right? So, and the Job Skills Australia did research up with employers last year and asking them for the number of job advertisement that they put out, how many qualified people they got for the jobs that they were available. And was less than 50%. And the reason why employers mention is because people didn't have certain skills. They have qualifications, but they don't have skills.
The soft skills.
The soft skills. One is the communication, right? You need to be able to communicate not only with others, but with yourself to understand others, to talk to others, to see others. And also planning. People don't know how to plan. And we plan things. If you migrate here, you had to have a plan. Could be not a very 100% done plan, but it was a plan. But they cannot show that. They cannot show also their research skills. Like in business, when you don't know something, you research about to get to know things, right? And also what's the other? 5 things, but mainly was communication skills.
Right. So we talked about the things from the employee's perspective. Is there something that the employers can do to bridge that gap?
Yeah, look, as an employer now, right, your business is running and you don't have enough people to serve the amount of people that are looking for your services. When you want to employ someone, you expect someone to be ready to get there. You don't have time to be training people all the time, every comma that they need to do next, right? So from the perspective of employers, I know they are in a rush, they are in a very poor time situation, but there is also a need of understanding the other side is not from here. They don't have all the awareness or the culture or knowledge about the system. How can companies help their employees to feel more part of their company? Because normally what I tell to my participants is, a company will employ you not just because your CV is wonderful. Your CV is the door that opens for you when you get someone in front of you to interview you. But your employer need to be sure that you are the one coming to join them and helping them to make money, including to pay your salary. If you don't show that, you won't be there. It's a business. No one employ you just because they liked you or because you are so gorgeous. There is no point. You need to show that you are a contributor and you can make their business grow.
That's the thing. People always told me that you are doing a service to them by working for them.
You work with
them. And when I ran my business, then I realized if I can make them $3, then they will pay me $1.
Mm-hmm.
That's how business works. If I can't make them $3, they won't have the business case to even hire me.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It's not going to work.
No, someone needs to pay the bill.
So if someone can understand that whatever salary I'm aiming for, if I'm aiming for $100,000, I have to make that business $300,000. Because 50% goes into the overheads.
That's right. Yes.
And then the taxes.
Yes.
So until unless it's the 200% is just operating cost, employees, overheads, taxes, and then the rest goes to the profit.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the profit still goes to balance out the remaining losses from the initial years.
Oh yeah, takes a while.
Takes a while.
Until you get things like sorted.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the point. Is the two sides need to understand their roles. Of course, the employers, they have a big role, especially in the big companies. The care that they have to take of the employees to make the employee feel valued inside of the organization, and investing the time, the good emotion to bring the employee to the point that the employee is happy working for them, right? So it needs time, investment, and good emotions. And the same, the employee needs to feel that they are welcome in there and they feel that they can give their time and their emotion, good emotion, to be there making money with the company.
From your experience of working with so many newcomers, do you think racism and discrimination also plays whatever part in the newcomers not finding jobs?
Look, I believe there are people that have their own barriers, and it's the misconceptions and misperceptions, right? Even from perceptions of themselves. And when they have these perceptions of themselves, they see in others what they don't like in themselves. So that's what we call racism. When you don't like something in you and you hate when someone has, and you don't. So it's the opportunity to be in a different country. So speaking another language that you don't speak, right? So racism is inside of you. Just to start with, that's my concept of racism. And there are people that when they see others, they don't like them, they don't want to help them. Happens, right? But it's up to us to understand the limitation of that person, and it's their problem. Because I saw the racism, let's say here, the racism between commas, is not from Australians that were born here, grew up as an Australians, but from other migrants. It's very interesting, but I never had anyone looking me down because they were Australian. But migrants, yes. Other migrants.
That's been my experience too. I've got many, many mentors who are Australians. Mentors, trainers, advisors, people who helped me get my first job, my present job, all Australians. And so hard to get help within the community to even go and ask for it. Until unless you know them very well, friend circles. Outside of friend circles is hard.
So I believe also is the way you present yourself. So people, they get a little bit like step back when they are getting to know someone. And that's why I teach my participants how they can be memorable, and people want to know them more and help them. And
So Kaleidoscope is gone now.
Yes.
You are out of you stopped working with Kaleidoscope.
Yes.
What are you up to these days?
I continue with my business.
That hypnotherapy business.
Yes, and also I continue with an extension of IBNA,
And what is that?
career and culture.
Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so IBNA became now Cema Santos Career and Culture, because it was one big mistake that I made at the time. That was, let's say, learn in research. In research, the word migrant, right? We understand that comes with very detrimental aspect. So when you talk about migration, migrants, immigrants, comes, if you search migrants pictures on Google, come slavery all the time. So it's very detrimental. The word migrants is very detrimental. So, and also putting people inside of this box that they cannot go anywhere else, they need to be a migrant. So that time when I had IBNA, there was Immigrant Business Networking Association. The name migrant was there just to be very strong. But we noticed there was also something that would separate people from being part of the new land. They will always be migrants. So working with Kaleidoscope and having a different perspective, the name newcomer now is much more stronger for me. And as I debriefed more and more and more, we migrate from phases to phase, job to job, company to company, from one family to another. But you don't feel a migrant when you do this. But you feel migrant when you change to a new country. Why this word, right? So because you bring your whole history and to the new country, you want to bring everything with you. And you want to continue the same person, to be the same person with the same things, coming from a place that you didn't want to be there anymore. You decide that you didn't want to be there anymore. But you come to the new country, not wanting to be there anymore, but bring everything that you didn't want to there anymore. All your culture, all your thoughts, the way of thinking. So coming to a new country, you don't need to forget who you are, your culture, or anything. But you need to give permission to yourself to learn about the new country and to understand the other side and blend the two. And then you are not a migrant anymore. You are part of this, right? People get citizenship in any country that they move to, but they still with the label of migrant inside of themselves.
That is very profound, because if we are migrating, we shouldn't be just leaving the country. We have to leave the system and the reasons why we are actually migrating.
That's right.
I moved because my opportunities in my career were limiting because of whatever reasons, office politics, politicization of the bureaucracy, the limitations of the new businesses that you can start because of very high taxation. India had started on economic liberalization in 91, but we still have huge bureaucracy. They started implementing GST very soon, but even in GST they have 4 slabs. So it's still again more taxation and more leave it to the bureaucracy to implement more taxes on you, rather than liberalizing the businesses, the taxation.
And that's why you have so many formal businesses, because people need to find a way to not pay so many taxes, as they are not earning enough with their business, right?
Yeah. And when I came here and I saw, instead of 4 slabs, I have 4 taxes here.
But straightforward.
Straightforward. So yeah, we have to get rid of those reasons why we are moving, and accept and take on the things here.
Yes, and that's when I have one of slides that I present when I'm doing career strategy, that I show by the end of my presentation is a big tree, where the big tree, one of the side has a very long root, very strong root, and the other side of the tree has a small root, very weak root, and is the metaphor of a newcomer, always looking back for things that they left behind, the decision, doubting their decisions, and everything back home is better. Everything that I left behind, everything that I create, they cannot stop thinking about what they left. And they spend so much time inside of their heads with so much guilty, so much hurt, so much, oh my goodness, or fear and sadness, and being angry with themselves too, that the new root is so weak. They don't know anyone. They don't create networks. They don't enjoy their lives. And if most of the time when I ask migrants, they say, I come here for better life, better opportunities. But they come here to continue as a second-class citizen. They don't change. They go even worse, to the lower than they were doing before. Lower are great. If they thought before they were not valued, they come here, they still in the same or lower, working in jobs they have more qualification than to do that job. And they feel that way, a second-class citizen forever. And that's not the reason why you migrate. You migrate if you want to be better, to have a better life. What do you need to do? Right?
And how can they change that?
It's a mindset. It's the way you think. So this way, that's why my program is so powerful, because I work really with the base of the neuroscience, how you change your way of thinking, how you can progress with your life, being more positive and assertive without being like, don't give up. No, don't give up doesn't come to my dictionary.
Right. It's taking new roots in the new country.
That's right.
Learn the things, become
part of.
Become the part of the community.
Let's contribute.
Become an Australian.
That's right.
Not be an ex-Indian or an ex-Brazilian.
Yeah, or I'm a migrant here forever.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And people get so pissed when they ask, I said pissed, but I'm not sure if
That's
I can again. When people ask, where does this accent come from? They go, well, you need to ask me this. Wait a minute. Your accent is your identity. It's part of you. You came to this country. It's one thing that you can get softened your accent, right? You can reduce. You can speak beautiful English, but your accent is still there, even if it's a minimum. And why do you need to be ashamed for because you have an accent? I love it. Makes me be me.
Oh yes. Okay, so now you're running your business. You're doing so many things.
Yeah, now the business now is Cema Santos Career and Culture, and it's mainly helping newcomers to have the life career of their dreams in Australia. I don't sell dreams. I help them to make the dream come true.
What the dreams they have?
The dreams that they have is working in their career, or reconnecting with their career, or if they want to discover a new career because they come for something new, or if they are transitioned to something that they always wanted to do, but they are not allowed to do, and now they are in a new country, they can. So is helping them to understand the strong motivation to move away from where they come from to a new place where they can be what they want to be.
Right. One of the side effects or disadvantage of working in this kind of an industry where you are helping is that you get some trauma from the problems that your clients are facing. How do you separate yourself from the problems that they are facing, anything that it doesn't affect you, or you reduce that effect on you? I think it's called vicarious trauma.
Yes, but one thing that we learn when we work with therapy is we have our own journey. You can help others, but you cannot live their lives for them. You need to know where the limit is. Of course, impact us. The story impact us. As I said before, I would cry because I would see so many horrible stories, right? But what I can do is help this person to gain the tools to move forward. That's my main contribution. If they are ready to take the tools and make the move, great for them. If they are not ready, they will take a little bit longer, or sometimes they don't want to leave that space, but it's up to them. If they don't want to leave that space, I cannot help them. I can help people that want to be helped. And that's it. Not need, they want to be helped.
So that thing is always in your mind that
that's right.
It's their issues. And I've got my own issues, and
I help them with what I know. And if they are ready to embrace and go, and they do, if it makes sense to you.
Oh yes. I was doing my mental first aid course, and my trainer told me that if you try to solve someone else's problem, you're actually taking out their agency.
That's right, the responsibility.
So you have to appreciate and respect their humanity. It's their struggle. You can only help.
That's right.
And that was profound words, and
that's right.
So good. That was a good training, mental first aid.
And that's why with hypnosis, clinical hypnotherapy, it's a very, very quick process that people can make decisions and move forward very quickly, instead of being ruminating in a problem and not finding the solution. So it's a solution-based therapy.
Good. Now that we talked about mental health, how do you manage your own mental health? How do you unwind? How does Cema unwinds?
Well, look, I love dancing, music. I love my man, and I love my dogs, and I love barbecuing. That's what I do. I go with friends, we dance, or we go to shows or concerts, or go for gatherings, having dinners together, or invite them to come to my place that lately I have not been so often, doing so often. I always find time to go to the beach, to see the sea, the sun, the sunset, the sunrise. So things in nature give me lots of energy. And of course, exercising. Exercising is what helps me a lot. So if I wake up and feel like, go to the gym, or go run, go for a walk on the beach, and then come back. And then you are new. Good. For the day. For the day, it's a day, yeah.
Starts again.
Yeah.
Good. We are nearing our closure. So before we close, if you have to send or say something to the new migrants, or even to the listeners, your final words.
Okay, so first, thank you very much for listening to this conversation I'm having with Nero. If you are a newcomer in this country and you haven't yet connected with a career, or if you're out of the job market, believe that it's possible. Even if people tell you that it's not. Believe that it's possible, and find ways, or find people that can help you. People that have the information that you need, that can help you to move on. And if you have been even if you have been here for a long time, because it's something that we have been working like later on in Kaleidoscope, that you saw that could help people with a big gap, or even if without local work experience to find their feet back in this country. So it's not hope. Hope is sitting and waiting. It's action. Do it. Like Nike. Do it, baby.
And if someone wants to reach out to you, where can they find you?
You can find me in different platforms. So I am on LinkedIn, on Facebook, as Cema Santos, my main masters. On Instagram, I am as Cema Santos Career and Culture. And YouTube, you can find me as Cema Santos. And the name of my channel is Cema Santos Life Career Roadmap for Newcomers.
Thank you, Cema. Thank you for sharing your journey. There's a lot to learn, a lot to take in, a lot to ask you. If I get a chance to talk to you directly, there's a lot to take in, but you're a good inspiration. I've learned a lot from you since the days I met you first when you were doing IBNA.
Yes.
From IBNA to Kaleidoscope to your new ventures, and today with this podcast.
Yes.
Thank you. You've been supporting me. You're supporting the podcast. And I hope we talk again very soon.
Yes. Thank you, Nirmo, and all the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Do like, subscribe, and share on whichever platform you have heard this. To know more about Perth Dialogues, please visit perthdialogues.au. From everyone in the studio, goodbye.